Liam, so just looking at those faces there and who's been appointed, let's see if they give us an indication about what might happen on the 17th of November. Suella Braverman is on record, she put it in her resignation letter last week as it happens, that immigration should not be relaxed to boost economic growth. So that might tell us something about immigration. Mel Stride, he was chair of the Treasury Select Committee. He's now Work and Pension Secretary. He was on record before he joined the government as saying benefits should rise in line with inflation. We also see the return of Andrew Mitchell, very passionate about international development, believing that this country should spend its fair share.
0.7% of GDP on overseas aid.
United
which
Nations
we've
target.
actually retreated from.
Exactly. And so what sort of clues is yesterday's shuffle, because it wasn't a reshuffle, I suppose, shuffle tell us about the economic policy of this government?
Well, the first thing we should say, Gloria, and I say this looking directly at you and with affection, is that we're talking about politicians, so they're pretty light on their feet when they need to change their minds. And you could see you grinning at that. Let's never forget that this Chancellor who's there to calm the markets, he was the guy that when he stood as Tory leader, he wanted the rate of corporation tax cut to 15% from 19%. So, politicians at the top of the game are nothing if not pragmatic. But you're completely right. What your analysis shows, rightly in my view, is that they're, for all the sort of warm, fuzzy feeling we've got now, me talking about all the dollars going, the dollar's weaker and the pound's getting stronger and borrowing costs are coming down, deadly serious. That's really, really good stuff. But think of the decisions that they face. If Mel Stride, as the new Work and Pension Secretary, gets his way and we uprate the basic state pension, just the basic rate state pension, just a slither, well, a big chunk, but not all by any means of the welfare budget, that's £11 billion a year right there. That's absolutely huge. If Andrew Mitchell gets his way and foreign aid goes up to 0.7% of GDP, that's, billions of pounds. If Ben Wallace, the highly respected Defence Secretary, who's been playing a very shrewd game, he wants defence spending to go up by 50%. Because he wants it to go from 2% of GDP to 3% of GDP. So, and across the board. And then something that I really think we need to highlight here on GBNews, because it's going to be big news, that public sector pay round. I think a lot of the public sector unions, they are going to test this Chancellor. They are going to test this Prime Minister. They're going to be looking for pay rises in line with the rate of inflation, particularly if pensioners are getting their benefits uprated by the rate of inflation. So that's a 10% pay rise across the public sector. That's double-digit billions of pounds. And I think it's going to get quite nasty and personal. I think a lot of the unions are going to go after the fact that we've got a very wealthy man in both number 10 and in a number 11 Downing Street. And we'll see then if this cabinet unity is maintained.
Since you mention, actually, his wealth, Keir Starmer there at Prime Minister's Question Times, he raised non-dom status. Just explain what it means. It's bandied around a bit, but none of us really understand.
What it stands for is non-domicile, and in tax terms, your domicile is very different from your residence. So you can be resident in the UK, but you can be domiciled in another country if you have a very clear blood link with that country, and if it's the country to which you will ultimately return. That's the kind of the philosophical description of it. And of course, Rishi Sunak's wife was non-dom in the UK. That doesn't mean she doesn't pay the tax that's due in the UK. It doesn't mean that she broke any laws. On the contrary, she paid all tax at all times that was due in the UK. But if you're non-dom, it means you can earn income around the world and not pay tax in the UK. So you can arrange your affairs that you pay very little tax in your UK. If you don't have a job in the UK, you don't declare income in the UK, and all your money is being paid in dividends in other jurisdictions. We know, because the Chancellor, as he then was, admitted it, that his wife had that status. So he and his wife, of course, is the daughter of a very wealthy Indian businessman worth hundreds of millions of pounds, that she has changed those affairs. But I think we can see from today this idea that the Prime Minister of the UK is incredibly wealthy and out of touch with ordinary people, fairly unfairly, is going to be a recurring theme.